Hey everybody, and welcome to the Roofing Resource Channel. In today's topic, we're going to be talking about what makes a roofing install exactly high quality. Because here's the thing, even the best shingles fail if installed improperly. A misplaced nail, skipped underlayment, or poor ventilation can turn a long-lasting roof into a nightmare. So today we're going to be talking to Brinson Corn, our project manager at Linta Roofing, to really dive into this topic, so that way you can learn the right things to be looking for, what to ask your contractor before an install to make sure that they're going to be doing things properly, or any red flags that you should be really looking out for. So let's get started. Well, Brinson, thank you for being here and everything. So we're going to jump right into this topic. What makes a roof installation truly high quality? So the first thing I want to ask you is, we hear a lot about good shingles. GAF, HDZ is one that we always talk about and hear about and everything. But besides the shingles and the material, why does an installation and the quality of an installation matter maybe just as much or more than, the quality of the materials that you use?
Yeah, Hugh, that's a great question. Even the best shingles on the market will fail if the installation is sloppy. Right. What I mean by that is a lot of the problems that we see on existing roofs are due to nailing, right? Okay. Whether that's underdriven or overdriven, the nails are high shot or low shot, they didn't use the full 6 nails per shingle. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into it that requires the roofing system as a whole to perform properly.
So with that in mind, how often do you see problems, maybe when you're on like an inspection or something, that you see problems tied to the installation from that previous installer, rather than the material itself that was used?
Often.
Okay.
Often. And what I mean by that is the majority of leaks that we go out to detect are from poor installation, right? The shingle market's been around for a long time, and the majority of your 4 or 5 main shingle manufacturers, they have a good product. They have a great product, right, that are very, very similar. So where the differentiation is who installs it and how is it done. A roof that is not installed correctly with some of these issues we just talked about, very early in the roof life cycle, you're going to start to see issues, whether that's leaks due to improper nailing, the flashing was done improperly, the shingles weren't installed correctly, so therefore a 30-mile-an-hour wind is picking them up and ripping them off. So there's a handful of issues that come from a poorly installed roof. And
when it comes to that, installation, say someone that has installed their roof and maybe they did, skip some stuff, maybe some like nails weren't done correctly or anything like that. How quickly could a homeowner expect to see issues arise from a poor installation?
As quickly as the first rainstorm. Majority of the time, that's what we see is, for example, a workmanship warranty covers things that are installed improperly.
Okay.
From our experience, something that's installed improperly, you're gonna, majority of the time, tell that within the first really good rainstorm or two. Typically well within the first couple of years. Now there's no dead set time on it, because it could be 4, 5, 6 years down the road before it shows its head as far as errors go.
Okay. So, kind of jumping into our next thing, I wanted to talk about, there's a word that gets tossed around a lot, and that's, good craftsmanship, and craftsmanship that's done on your roof install. So when someone is going to say, the craftsmanship on a roof install, what does that actually mean, and what checks or standards show that it's done properly?
That's a great question, and there's a couple of bullet points that we can discuss in this. I would argue the most important is the nailing. Okay, what I mean by the nailing, we kind of just hit on it.
Correct.
But making sure that the nails are not overdriven or underdriven, right? Making sure they're in the right proper nailing line. They're not above that or below that.
Correct.
There's tons of nailing issues that can come up. Another common one where the nail head isn't flat to the deck. It's flat to the ground, but not to the slope of the roof. So that creates an uneven surface that can cause us own problems over the years. Another one is to make sure that the proper materials are used other than just the shingles. What I mean by that is like drip edge. Is aluminum drip edge being used? Starter strips. Starter strip, without going down a rabbit hole, but the actual manufacturer specified starter strips are actually used, and they didn't just flip a just flip a shingle upside down and use that as a starter course, right? For example, back in the day, that was common practice.
Okay.
However, today, with majority of your shingle manufacturers, you have to use their specific starter strip where it'll void any of their wind warranties, right? So that's a common corner that's cut.
And what was the main reason for that transition or, switch to that?
I'm not sure. Me personally, don't quote me on this, but I would just say that, if I'm in the manufacturer's shoes and they're going to warranty their shingles themselves, we want to make sure that the components that go into that roofing system are up to standard, right?
Okay.
So they're using quality accessories because it all works simultaneously to make sure that the roof performs as it should.
And then working on install, making sure that it's done right, done with the proper craftsmanship that you want to do and everything. Something I think about a lot is, the supervision, the superintendent that's on site and, your final inspections and everything. So yeah, when it comes to the supervision and final inspection, why are those so important? Even if the workers do seem, experience, why is that important to have that supervision and final inspection?
Yeah, I think the number one reason is to make sure, for us specifically, the reason we do it is to make sure the things that we tell you as a homeowner in the home are actually getting done.
Absolutely.
Right? Checks and balances are super important. It's one thing to sell you on all these things that get done, but this is a way that we make sure that the things we're saying actually gets done, and we're able to show that to the homeowner just to provide them with that extra peace of mind. Right?
Got you. Yeah. Now, jumping more into, bringing back materials into the conversation here, how do good materials and a good installation work together? How does that mesh and look as far as importance for one or the other?
Yeah, that's a great question. High quality shingles, a good product, is definitely a necessity. However, that alone will not get the job done.
Gotcha.
Okay? As we just talked about in the first section, the best shingles themselves will fail if not installed properly.
Absolutely.
Right? With proper nailing, the ventilation isn't double checked to make sure the attic space is ventilated properly. Make sure the proper decking. I know we talk a lot about decking and making sure the decking is a continuous surface, right? So all of those pieces of the recipe play an important part. It's kind of like make a cake. There's 10 things that go into a cake. If one or two is off, the finished product is
no good. I ain't getting a slice.
Correct.
But so if I'm a homeowner in this area, Myrtle Beach area, I'm looking for a roofer, looking for something like that. What are the key things that I should be checking for to ensure that I do get a quality install? What red flags should I avoid as well? What are the good things? What are the bad things that I should be looking for in roofers in the area?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the very, very bare minimum, and majority of the contractors, I think, would have this, but it's just proper licensing, insurance, credentials, that's just the bare basics just to even be considered. Even further than that, I would look at their reputation, right? How long they've been in business, and what do their reviews look like? Luckily for us as consumers, any product out there, they're going to have some reviews, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. That's something I would definitely look into. Two additional pieces more that get into the nitty gritty of it is clear communication from the beginning. What I mean by that is replacing a roof is a very large project.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of things that could go wrong. And there's also a lot of things that could cost additional once you get into the project, right? So one thing that we try to do is just be super upfront, clear, and honest and say, hey, this is what all's going to go into it. Here's all the details that you could be concerned with. Here's the things that you probably didn't think about that you should, just to make sure there's no stone left unturned.
Absolutely.
And to make sure that we're both on the same page before the project ever begins, right? So there's no surprises. One joke I always say is, hey, be aware of a number on a napkin.
Okay.
Right? Because that just leaves a lot of uncertainty if things were to go wrong. Who's responsible for what? How much is this going to cost? So just ironing out all of those details on the front end is super, super beneficial for you as a homeowner or a consumer, and just as important for me as a project manager, just to make sure that the expectations are super clear and we're not leaving anything up to guesstimation.
No, absolutely. Now, like if a homeowner has someone, coming to check the roof and they're giving them, that contract and, that price point and everything, I know you already kind of touched on some of the things to be talking to them about and ask, but do you have any other questions that maybe a homeowner should look to ask before signing any contract?
I think those are the big things we just
Right.
hit on. One's what am I responsible for as a homeowner?
Right.
Before, during, and after this project. What additional potential costs are there? Another one is super important is on-site supervision.
Yes.
Right. Make sure it's not just the crew out here doing whatever they want. On to the next one. Make sure there's actually somebody that's on site, that's overseeing the project, that's documenting the process before, during, and after. And most importantly, I think somebody that's able to answer your questions as you have them. Again, we just talked about it. A roof is a big deal, right? That's something that's going to protect your largest investment. So just making sure that it's done properly and done properly the first time. And I think one reason I'm so convicted about that is, I don't know the number on this, but we've probably replaced maybe a dozen roofs in the last year or so that were less than 10 years old. Not because the shingles failed, but because of year after year after year, they're having leaks due to improper installation, steps that were skipped during the install process because they were in a hurry, ready to get on to the next project.
Yeah.
Right. And so it really does matter. It really does.
No, absolutely. Now, going back and, just you were talking about the proper installation and everything like that. Walk me through what a proper installation would look like, starting from the tear off to the final inspection. What are the key things that make a proper roof installation a good quality?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll try to hit the high points.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we could talk about this for hours. The first thing is just the tear off of the old roof. Up north, it's a lot more common practice to shingle over the existing shingles. Okay. In the climate that we live here in South Carolina, specifically here at the beach, we never, ever will even consider to shingle over existing shingles, right? Shingling over the existing shingles will cut the life of the new shingles in half.
Yep.
It doesn't give us a chance to repair any rotted decking that may be present. And then another factor is your nail security. If going through an additional layer of shingles, the nails won't be able to grab as properly as they should. Right. So that's the first step.
Gotcha.
The second one, I would say, just all of the manufacturer specifications as far as the accessories go. So some of those being like the underlayment, right? Here in Horry County, in the 2021 IRC, which is the code documentation, right, says that in Horry County, you have to install the underlayment to be in double layer fashion, okay? Again, without getting into the weeds, that's just a newer code requirement that somebody from out of town that's here for a season or a storm may not be aware of.
Gotcha.
Right? You've also got like your drip edges, your starter strips, your flashing. All of these are the pieces of the recipe that we talked about that play a very, very important role. Right?
Gotcha.
We've also talked about nailing, right?
Yep.
Having proper nailing is super important. Like I said, if I had to put a guess on it, and again, don't quote me on this, but I would say probably close to 75% of the repair calls that we go out to, they have leaks due to improper nailing.
Gotcha.
So it just shows how one small thing like that you really wouldn't think about plays an enormous factor.
Okay.
Right? Ventilation. We want to make sure that the roof is ventilated properly. Right? There's tons of different ways depending on the size of roofs, and we could get down a whole rabbit hole talking about ventilation, but proper ventilation is crucial to getting the amount of life that you should out of your next roofing system.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got it.
And then the last one I'll just say, I think, is the cleanup. Right? It's one thing that we pride ourselves on. We're not perfect. There is going to be a mess. While the roof's being torn off, there's a mess everywhere. But
Such a messy process, absolutely.
There's thousands of pounds of shingles coming off the roof and thousands of nails. It's going to be a mess. However, that proper cleanup periodically, as well as at job completion, is super important. A lot of our homeowners have pets. They also have young children that run around barefooted, right? So proper cleanup is something that I would argue is extremely important.
Okay. Now, the last thing I want to ask you, say we have a homeowner in the area that has a fairly new roof. Maybe it's a year old or less, and they're showing signs of leaking and things from clearly a improper installation. What should the next steps be for that homeowner?
Yeah, I think that the immediate step should be to call out a local contractor that's been around for a while, has been there, they really has their flag planted in the community and has the community's, or you as a homeowner, your best interest at heart.
Absolutely.
Right? Have them give you an unbiased opinion on diagnosing what the problem is, what are proper next steps, and give you the total lens with all the facts on the table.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, Brinson, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you like this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with any questions or experiences you've had with roof installs. For more information on this topic, visit our learning center at lintaroofing.com. Thanks for watching.